Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Canopy Cafe on Thursday, August 13th of 2020. My name is Ben Smock. I'm the Director of Development with Canopy. And for those of you who are new to our organization, we are a startup nonprofit that is growing Kentucky companies to positively impact people, our planet, and our future. And we started these Canopy Cafes several months ago when the global pandemic hit and we weren't able to have these conversations in good business with our friends and supporters and leaders throughout the community at our office. And so we took it to the virtual space. And so we've had some amazing conversations thus far, diverse audiences, really talking about what it means to be a good business, how people can show up during times like what we see now with the global pandemic, and how businesses can not only survive but thrive when they use good business practices. And so we've had a number of great conversations, and today we're expecting another great conversation and a timely conversation based on some of the work that they have going on. We have Nicole Bartlett with the Louisville Salt Cave, and she will be joining us in just a moment. But before we bring Nicole on, I want to toss it over to my esteemed colleague, Alex Page, and she has a few headlines in good business for us.
Hi, Ben.
Hey, Alex. Morning. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Just Canopy Cafeing it up.
That's great. Well, glad to be back after I think I had like a week and a half hiatus. So I tried to choose articles today that were directed towards health and wellness in good business, mainly because we're going to talk with the Louisville Salt Cave today. So the first one I wanted to talk about was actually something that's happening here in Louisville. So after being launched as a short-term relief effort, now a new West Louisville grocery store called Black Market Kentucky plans to stake permanent roots in the fall. So blossoming from the Feed the West movement, Black Market Kentucky will transform. It's actually a shuttered West Market Street building into one of the area's most accessible options for fresh and healthy food. Many people probably know this, but the West End is considered to be a food desert in Louisville, meaning that a majority of citizens in the West don't have access to fresh food, or basically anything you wouldn't find at a gas station. So the growing Feed the West movement, whom we actually interviewed one of its leaders recently, Chantrice Martin, for our 27 campaign, it'll be expanded and secured through this new marketplace. So free and discounted groceries are basically the bread and butter of Black Market Kentucky and the Feed the West cause. So according to Martin, accessibility is going to be the key focus for the new market. They'll accept WIC, EBT, and several other methods of payment, as well as there will be discounted prices for area residents also. So Martin said she also wants to help underserved populations, including ex-offenders, by hiring them to work at the store. So this is a really great thing because the Feed the West movement, it's just great that because of the Feed the West movement, this grocery store has been able to come about, and hopefully it'll serve as a really effective resource for everyone who lives in the West End.
Very cool. When we spoke with Chantrice a few weeks ago, that was their ultimate goal, was to open up this store. So I'm glad to see it come to fruition. It's just a testament to the quality of work that they've been doing and in an amazing timeline. So awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And I think they've gotten enough donations too, which is awesome. So many people, they've gained so much traction and so many people are willing to donate. And now we're going to have this really great resource. So
very cool.
Yeah. So it's actually from an opinion piece by Fast Company, and they basically make the case for why every brand needs to behave like a health and wellness brand. So in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, it's on top of mind to determine whether or not an activity or an individual is a safe and healthy decision for yourself as well as your family. So now brands are no different. Today, before we invite them in, we want to know if they'll help us make us sick or if they'll help us stay healthy. So not talking about widely recognized health brands like Fitbit or Peloton, but like every brand is now under the spotlight to make sure it's a safe and healthy option. So the sooner a brand starts thinking like a health and wellness brand, the sooner it'll be able to find a pulse in our slowly opening economy. So it's a little bit more than just providing like hand sanitizer and masks, even though like those things are very crucial right now. It's more about demonstrating empathy with your customers and building trust that you're going to keep them safe and healthy. So one example of this is Nike. So they've done a really good job throughout the pandemic, shifting their marketing to promote and endorse the idea of remaining safe in their clothing and shoes and everything else they make. So they have made slogans like "Play inside, play." What is it? Play inside, play for the world, and for once, don't do it. So they've really hit the nail on the head with shifting their product to serve a better purpose for these times. Another scenario to think about is airlines. So, like for the most part, absolutely no one is going to fly a plane right now that feels unhealthy or unsafe with regards to COVID. So many are partnering with health and wellness brands like the Cleveland Clinic or Clorox to help make themselves a health and wellness brand that more people are more likely to trust. So as your business, if you're watching this, is navigating this new territory, especially if you're having to shift your brand, consider the inclusion of health and wellness because that's the primary thing that's going to build trust right now.
There we go. I don't know. I think I might be having trouble with my microphone, so I apologize about that. Trying to fix it. But anyways, that's a very interesting news story directly related to our guest today. And one thing I love to hear, I mean, we all need to be focused on health and wellness. So that's really good story.
Yeah. So the final thing I want to talk about is the essential role of mental health for a diverse and inclusive workplace. So this is bringing these two ideas, like, yes, both health and wellness, but as well as there's still racial protests going on throughout the country. So recently there was an article released by Forbes that talks about this connection. And so in response to global protests for racial justice, employers around the world are emphasizing their commitment to inclusion and social equity. To deliver on this commitment, organizations must ensure employees from diverse backgrounds can have access to effective mental health support. So this is a challenge that's been overlooked for way too long. The world's current events are really taking a toll on mental health right now. For basically everyone that's paying attention. So one study finds that anxiety and depression symptoms have even more than tripled in Black and Latino communities this year, spiking just after the murder of George Floyd. So given the impact on employees and communities, every employer should see accessible, inclusive mental health as both an ethical imperative as well as a new strategic priority. So some important actions that businesses can take right now are first, recognizing the intersection between mental health and inclusion. So employees from diverse backgrounds can face a lack of representation, microaggressions, unconscious bias, and other stressors that impact their mental health and psychological safety at work. So as employers deepen their focus on DE&I, they should ensure that employees from diverse backgrounds have the mental health support that they need, from employee resource groups to counseling services to mental health screening tools, all of that. Another action is to improve access to culturally competent care. So what I mean by this is that since there are striking disparities in access to mental health care in the US, so Asians are 51% less likely to use mental health services than whites, Latinos are 25% less likely, and Blacks are 21% less likely. Because of this, organizations should leverage their influence to push for health systems, insurance networks, and policy decisions that deliver culturally competent mental health care. So out of all this, the idea is to move from words to action. I think many businesses are definitely coming out with statements against racial injustice. And while it's a great thing, it only goes so far. And mental health need to be first in the conversation, and second, a crucial part of policy change in a company.
Absolutely. Really insightful advice into an important topic, Alex. Thank you for that. And I remember early on in conversations with Canopy and, the impetus behind our organization, one of which was the rankings that Kentucky has, from a national perspective, and mental health is not something that we rank very strong in. And so there's a lot of opportunity there to put action behind it. And there's an opportunity to create an equitable approach to it. So very, very important news story. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Well, it's good to see you back on the Canopy Cafe. And thanks for keeping us in the know with good business headlines.
Yeah, no problem. See ya.
Take care, Alex. All right, and now we are going to bring on Nicole Bartlett, who is the owner of Louisville Salt Cave. So the Louisville Salt Cave, for those of you who are unfamiliar, it's inspired by the quest for inner peace, and it's really just built on this foundation of individual freedom. They use a really cool approach with halotherapy that involves pink Himalayan salt crystals, some of the Earth's purest and most unpolluted salt that you can find, and it has amazing healing purposes that are very specific to the region that we live in Kentucky, from respiratory issues, asthma, allergies, and things like that. And so if you're like me, your allergies are probably going crazy on a daily basis. And so this therapy can be very helpful. And Nicole, who is the owner, comes from a background in biotechnology, and she is now shifting her focus to preventative health and has done some amazing work with the Louisville Salt Cave. So I will stop talking and bring on Nicole to the show. So welcome, Nicole.
Thanks so much for having me, Ben.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. We're really excited to have you here, and it's an important week for you. So we're excited for all the reasons. So I did not do you or the Salt Cave justice, I'm sure. So please tell our audience about you and the Salt Cave.
Oh, you absolutely did. I appreciate the introduction. I'm still blown away by the news articles that you all just shared, because it's so important. I mean, Feed the West and Black Market, that I came from an agricultural background. So like foundation and nutrition, it's so strong. And to have that opportunity in areas where it didn't exist before is such a huge accomplishment for our city and really exciting. And with regard to mental health, that was a huge driver for us doing our the Louisville Healing Summit that we started this week. But I'll go back to that and just tell you a little about the cave, since that's what you asked me. Yeah. So we built the cave in 2015. It's constructed out of Himalayan salt, like you said, and you come in and do dry salt therapy sessions. So you lay down in an anti-gravity chair, you breathe in, it's a salt saturated air. So microparticles of pharmaceutical grade salt that you're breathing into the lungs. And we do this for a healthy lung microbiome. So salt works to dry areas of excess mucus. It's antimicrobial. So bacteria and viruses don't live well in its presence. And so you're breathing in this salt air. It helps to break up congestion in the respiratory tract, open up the sinus cavity. It works with certain skin conditions, and the session's detoxifying. So a lot of health benefits from a physiological perspective, but we actually facilitate really deep mental rest. So it's a meditative environment. You come in 45 minutes, check out, unplug, turn off phones, listen to music. It's binaural beats to help settle the mind, put you into a relaxed state, and really tune in. That really is what we built the space for. There's wonderful preventative health benefits, but to come and check in with yourself and to just see what you have to say, right? Like, what's going on with me? And then you leave feeling rested and kind of be able to walk back out into the community from a clearer space, a little bit more tuned in perspective.
Well, you are quite the salesperson. I'm going to go ahead and sign up for my appointment after this for sure. Well, that is really interesting. And so how did you come to find out about all the benefits with halotherapy and everything to do with salt?
I mean, it's fairly new to the United States in the last 5 or 10 years, I guess. But this has been going on in Europe for years. So it started with salt miners, and they recognized that the salt miners in Poland had better respiratory and overall health than the general public. So in Europe, they started duplicating this mine environment and allowing people to come in and use it as a preventative service. But like the understanding of salt use for healing goes way back. So we've been using neti pots for years to flush the sinuses, right? People gargle with salt to help prevent disease or illness. So it's just a mineral that's been around for since our Earth's been here, and we can just use that from a practical perspective in salt therapy.
Healing through natural elements, absolutely. I love it. Absolutely love it. I see we do have a comment from our friend Sean Somerville. Not a question, just A high five. Sean's a good friend of Canopy, and I know he's tuning in. So shout out to Sean. He's been on the Canopy Cafe before. So I do want to discuss, what you have going on this week, Nicole, and it's the Louisville Healing Summit. And very timely to have you on the cafe this week, and especially, considering the rationale behind this Healing Summit and everything that is going on this year with the global pandemic and everything to do with racial justice. This is quite a unique year, and mental health and healing is very important. So tell us about this Healing Summit.
Sure. So the pandemic hit, and we were one of the first small businesses to voluntarily close before there were any mandates. And we did this because of the nature of our business. People come in for respiratory health, and we didn't know enough about COVID-19 but to stay in operation. So we just decided it was best, based on our values of community and preventative health, to close doors until we figured out more. Now, we thought it was going to be a few weeks. But in that time, there was just a lot of opportunity to figure out, what do we do? How do we help? We're a physical location where people come in for services. So it wasn't easy to take classes online. But I've worked with a number of different healers over the years, and they bring such a great wealth of information on how to heal holistically. In the past, we've done presentations in the retail space, and healers would come in and talk about their area of expertise. And in every instance, every person that came in always talked about mind, body, spirit. So it was a holistic healing from mental wellness, from physical wellness, and from a spiritual perspective. And when the pandemic started, we were only talking about how to protect ourselves from a physical or physiological perspective. Wear masks, social distance, stay indoors, wash hands, the basic, obviously most important things that we needed to know. But I feel like there's so much more that we can talk about and learn about and be open to with regard to holistic health. So how does our energetic presence affect our well-being and our mental states? So the Healing Summit is 8 different speakers, multiple different backgrounds. So we have everything from what is shamanism to nutrition work with whole self nutritional wellness. And some of the things your audience might be interested in would be Tip It Forward, Kamalitha Livingstone. We interviewed her. They're a mobile bus clinic that goes to underserved areas and offers holistic wellness. They actually have a clinic coming up, I believe, with Feed the West on August 20th. And you can go to their website, it's tipitforward.org, to find out more information about that. But they're a wonderful example of how do we listen? How do we listen from a healthcare perspective where so many challenges with racial justice exist? And so where are those people in our community that we can look to for additional information that are experts in these areas of holistic wellness? And what do they have to say about it? So that's really what the Healing Summit is these interviews and conversations with people within the community to share more about their areas of expertise and open that up to our community so that we can choose, right? Whatever resonates.
Absolutely. And what a wonderful free service to offer to the community, that's really timely and that offers really important content that you might not otherwise think is as important as it is. And as we were talking about earlier, I was watching one of the sessions with Jackie Saltzman talking about getting real with yourself through coaching. And, part of what she was talking about was this, overwhelming importance of, action behind racial justice and equity within the workplace. And the Salt Cave was a participant in Canopy's recent 27 campaign, which was dedicated to supporting racial justice within the workplace and creating a fund that would support Black-owned businesses throughout Kentucky. So, I think from your perspective, what was meaningful about the 27 campaign to you as a business owner?
So much of it. One, it was an opportunity for us to participate from Organic Health Investments. 2, we were able to make a statement publicly, which we had done, but just based on our value system. So there's a lot more structure around how to communicate in this forum. And I think it's important, it's absolutely critical as a business owner that we do make a stance, we get off the fence, we have these conversations, specifically with me and with the business at the Cave about our whiteness. We have so much more to talk about here that needs to be just normalized, right? Like remove the charge. Let's have the conversation around this.
Right.
And then for growth, because I am so naive and so new to this space and learning so much, like where can I expand this information within my business? And I think that's really where we're digging in deep now, is figuring out how to make this more a part of our internal core structure of the Salt Cave and the 4 of us that work here, so that we have a strong foundation internally, so that we can have these conversations externally with more education, more empathy, more ability to listen and understand. So it's ongoing, right? Like it's not something that started a month ago, 2 months ago, and then we made our statement and we stop. It's a matter of how we bring this, really get intimate with the information and get intimate with each other. I mean, like if this pandemic's taught us anything, it's about how to be in relationship, right? And how important our humanity is.
Yeah, absolutely. That's incredibly well said, and really good for us to hear that it inspired continuous action. That's exactly what we want. Action, just to keep pushing forward, to keep having the courageous conversations, and to be vulnerable in spaces, and to just recognize that is what it takes to make progress, and to really understand where we come from, and then understand how we continuously work to improve. So that was the exact goal of the campaign. So we're really glad to have you as a partner in that work.
Thank you all so much for putting it together, and the resource that it's been, and continuing like through these Canopy cafes to keep putting the information out there. It's really
that's our goal. Educate. Absolutely. And we're kind of getting close to time here, and so I want to be sure that we tell our audience where they can go to learn more about Louisville Salt Cave, to access some of the healing that you offer. So where can you send folks?
So the best spot is our website, LouisvilleSaltCave.com. You can book on there. There's a lot of information about halotherapy and what we offer. And then we're a part of, Facebook and Instagram, Louisville Salt Cave on Facebook, Lou Salt Cave on Instagram. So we do a lot of updates to different events there, special offers. Those are the main areas. Yeah. And give us a call. The staff here is amazing. They're very knowledgeable about salt therapy, and we love talking to people on the phone. So if you have questions, please reach out in any of those areas or call us.
Perfect. So anybody tuning in, please check out Louisville Salt Cave, learn more about salt therapy, schedule an appointment, and through their social media and on their website, you can access the content that Nicole and the team are offering this week in regards to the Healing Summit. So please connect. Nicole, it was such a pleasure to have you on the show today. And thank you for your partnership with Canopy and working with us in various regards. So it's a pleasure to have you on here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a real honor speaking with you.
Yeah, likewise. Well, I'll be in touch soon, and hope you have a great day.
Thanks. You too, Ben.
Take care. All right. Well, that was Nicole Bartlett with Louisville Salt Cave. And obviously there's some amazing work that they're doing, and some really supportive preventative health that they can offer to you. And especially during these times, I would urge all of you listening to consider it. And if you are still tuned in, Canopy has some really important work ongoing, and there are ways for you to take action. The first of which is to sign the Charter for Good Business. If you believe that good business is the way, if you believe in the values and principles that Canopy is building and putting forth and really amplifying throughout Kentucky in order to improve the state overall, please sign your name to the charter. It's as simple as that. There's no expectations. It's just a simple signature, simple online way to put your name in to say you believe in this movement. And it means a lot to us. So you can go to canopyky.org to sign the charter. And also in a month and a couple days, on September 17th of this year, Canopy will be participating in Give for Good Louisville. And this is Louisville's biggest fundraising day of the year. And as you all can imagine, many nonprofit organizations have been impacted by the global pandemic, as have businesses. And, Canopy is not excluded from that. And so we are asking for our community support, and there will be more to come. We're going to be featuring the festival in good business. So there's going to be some wonderful content throughout the day. There will be some live events and great content to learn from. So mark your calendar, September 17th, get involved with Canopy. And of course, would love your consideration of support during that day. So that does it for me in the Canopy Cafe today. So thank you, Nicole and Alex, for being part of the show. And I'll catch you all next week. Take care.